Shalom, Shalom, this is Yair Davidiy, speaking to you from the land of Israel. I represent Brit-Am, Hebrew Awareness, Brit-Am, Hebrew Awareness. Our movement believes that the lost in tribes are amongst Western nations, amongst the peoples of Western Europe and their offshoots in America, in Australia, New Zealand and related areas. That is where the lost in tribes are. They are in those regions. The English-speaking peoples are amongst them, and they represent the tribes of Joseph, Ephraim and Manasseh. Joseph was part of the lost 10 tribes, so the lost 10 tribes. And they're there, their descendants in those regions. And in the end times they will return. Doesn't mean that everyone there is descendant of lost 10 tribes, but that is where the 10 tribes are. And they were important. They're important in the historical and cultural development of the places they're now found in. And they apparently comprise a significant proportion of the population in those regions. Exactly what proportion, or actually who and who is not, there's another question that we cannot answer, but at all events we have to give the message to them. The message has to go out to them, and certain principles have to be known. So our organisation sees itself responsible, or not only us, but considers that there's a responsibility for those who are aware of the Israelite nation, of the Israelite origins of these peoples, have to make it known to them. Also, the Jews have to know who they are. We're getting close to the end times. This information is important and it has to get out. At least the beginning has to be made to inform these peoples of where they come from, who they are, and let them know. And God willing, somehow or other they will research it further and confirm what we're telling them. At all events, our task is to let them know about it, and they have the responsibility to know it, to internalize it, to clarify it for themselves. And to know this, they also have the obligation to be pro-Jewish, to support the state of Israel in our time. This is a responsibility of theirs. And they also need to realize that the Joseph, that especially the tribes of Ephraim and Manasseh, have a task of their own to fulfill in the world. And this task is not complete, even though much progress has been made. So they have to know about these things. These things have to be made known unto them. And that is the main thing. These are the main things we are concerned with. The lost 10 tribes, as we said, they are among Western nations. They are among Western nations. And the English-speaking peoples are to be found amongst the English-speaking peoples comprise the tribes of Joseph, Ephraim and Manasseh. They are the main tribes of the biblical promise. Joseph received a special blessing for this. And Joseph has a task to fulfill. Joseph has a task to fulfill. He lost his identity, he lost consciousness of who he was, where he came from, and he was exiled. But this was in order for Joseph to go down to the level of the Gentiles and to evolve upwards. In the process to bring the rest of the world with him, which to some degree he did. And when this task is fulfilled or has reached a certain stage, he will return. By return we mean not only returning to the land of Israel, but also accepting his identity, reasserting his identity, internalizing his identity, drawing close to Judah, and all this as a prelude, as a foreshadowing of ultimate political and religious unification between Judah and Joseph. The phenomenon exists concerning people in the West from the 10 tribes who become acquainted with this information, that they feel themselves in a quandary as to whether they should convert to Judaism or not. What does God want of them? So we cannot say, we cannot give the same answer for everyone. It depends upon the individual. There's some individuals who feel an inner compulsion to convert to Judaism, and perhaps they should. And even they should not delay it if they have this feeling. But on the whole, conversion of individuals to Judaism is not encouraged. It's not encouraged by us. It's not encouraged by mainstream Judaism. The Rabbanut does not encourage it. We do not encourage it. Joseph had his own role to play. Joseph had his role to play. He had his role to play as Joseph in the lands of Joseph, according to the abilities and talents peculiar to Joseph. He does not have to become a clone of Judah. And there are exceptional circumstances. But, as we said, there are exceptions. One of the exceptions concerns coming to Israel. Some people, descendants of Israelites, but non-Jews, wish to come to Israel, to live amongst the Jews, but not to convert to Judaism. So this is mistaken. In our opinion, not in our opinion, according to rabbinical indications, they should not do so. Also, the Bible indicates Israelites who live in the land of Israel have a special obligation. The land of Israel is different. And in the land of Israel, if they come to live in the land of Israel, amongst Jews, they should convert to Judaism. They should become part of the Jews and keep the law, and keep all of the commandments as well as they can. Because if not, there are serious problems. All events here, we're talking about exceptional cases. In the end times, the descendants of Joseph, that is the 10 tribes, 10 tribe, the end times, the descendants of the 10 tribes, especially of Joseph, including Joseph, and the end times, descendants of the 10 tribes, including Joseph, will return as one unit. They will return all together. They will renew the covenant as one group. From a religious, legal point of view, halakhic point of view, this is the same as if they had converted under a different name. And it will be parallel to the Israelites receiving the Torah at Mount Sinai, when the whole community received the Torah altogether. Meanwhile, until that happens, they do not necessarily have to convert. If they're not coming to live in Israel straight away, or there are not some other special circumstances involved. In other words, individual conversion to Judaism is not encouraged, but there are exceptions, and these exceptions may entail doing it as soon as possible, especially if the intention is to come and live in Israel, in the state of Israel, where the law should be kept by all descendants of Israelites. Experience show that Gentiles who come to live in Israel amongst the Jews, as some do, in some way or other, and they do not become Jewish, they link up with secular and negative elements in the country, and they become part of the population, and they cause problems. These problems are connected with the Erev Rav. The Erev Rav, in English, mixed multitude. Erev means mixture, Rav means multitude, large. The Erev Rav and the Erev Rav are related, or are hinted at in the Torah, when it says in Exodus 12:38, that the Erev Rav, the mixed multitude, went up with the Israelites. When the Israelites were redeemed from Egypt under Moses, and they came out of Egypt, an Erev Rav, a mixed multitude, came up with them. And this is understood to refer to a large number of foreigners. At that time, Egypt was the leading country in the world, or one of the leading countries, and there were a large number of foreigners living in Egypt, in addition to the Egyptians, whether as slaves, whether as merchants, whether in some other capacity. And these mixed foreign elements, when they saw the Israelites go out of Egypt, they joined up with them. And some sources indicate that there were so many of them that they outnumbered the Israelites several times over. This might be a figurative expression. It does not necessarily have to be taken literally, but it's a reality. Saying that in each generation, perhaps a majority of Israelites, both from Judah and from the 10 tribes, will spiritually be connected to this Erev Rav. They won't be entirely convinced or committed to the good that the community should be committed towards. And this Erev Rav, usually they are the interface there, the intermediary between the Israelites and the non-Israelites, between Israelites and foreigners. As we said, Erev Rav are to be found both amongst the Jews and amongst the non-Jewish descendants of Israel, and they are there, they are a weak link in the chain. If the true Israelites, that is those who realize who they are and do as well as they can, are strong, are assertive, then the Erev Rav will be pulled after them, will reform themselves and go after them. But if the true Israelites, the real Israelites or the committed Israelites are weak, then they will be pulled after the Erev Rav. So the Erev Rav is not intrinsically evil, he can go either way, but he is more susceptible to temptation, to bad influences, than the true Israelites in the community. And there were great rabbis who said that in effect we all have elements of the Erev Rav within us. People intermix, people intermarry, we all have something of the Erev Rav, of these foreign elements within us. We have to recognize this, and if they are negative, to overcome them, to change our nature, to be aware of them, and also to utilize what benefits this inheritance has, to use it for good, to combine the forces both within ourselves and within our communities. So that is worth noting. So apart from that, we also have the concepts of Messiah, son of Joseph, Mashiach ben Yosef, and Messiah, son of David, Mashiach ben David. The Bible talks directly, explicitly concerning Mashiach ben David. Messiah, son of David, is in the Bible. In Jewish law, belief in the Messiah, son of David, is an obligation, has to be believed in. Whereas Messiah, son of Joseph, is a concept. You can take it or leave it, and it's not emphasized very much, at least not until recent generations, but it exists. And as well as being an individual, historical individual who will appear at some time, he also represents a historical process that would take place towards the end time. So by learning about the Messiah, son of Joseph, we not only learn about this person who will come along and do things, we also learn about events that are expected to take place towards the end times. And some of these events either have already taken place or are taking place, or some type of preparation for them has gone into effect. So this is worth a bit taking cognizance of, being aware of. And this Messiah, son of Joseph, he will be a real person, but belief in him is not compulsory, but it's worth taking notice of, as we said. And he will lead the 10 tribes, he will defeat the enemies of Judah, defeat enemies of Israel, defeat enemies of Judah, he will help Judah, he will initiate reconciliation with Judah, and he will help rebuild the land of Israel for Judah, whereas Judah is in effect preparing it or setting the foundations for all the rest of the Israelites in the future. And this scenario is similar in some respects to World War II and its aftermath. In World War II, had the Allies, the English-speaking peoples, led by America and Britain. They were the forerunners. They were those who overcame the enemies of Judah. They defeated the forces of Edom, represented by Germany and its allies. And those Jews who were saved, they saved them. They helped save them, rescue them, even helped rehabilitate them, and help them either come to America or come to other nations, and also go to Israel, to the area of Palestine that became Israel. And after the state of Israel had been established, they helped the state of Israel set itself up on its feet, helped it economically, and they helped it defend itself, and they helped it in every way possible, or in numerous ways. And they were almost the only ones who were helping, and they still are in many senses. And so this does not mean that they represent the Messiah, son of Joseph, but they fulfilled the role, his role at that time, and they were as if foreshadowing what may well happen in the future. They were setting the stage, as if to say. They provided a paradigm, prototypical example of things that may well happen in the end times, as depicted concerning the Messiah, son of Joseph, who represents an historical process. And literature concerning the Messiah, son of Joseph, when you take this into consideration, many things become much clearer. So this is worth noting. The Messiah, son of David, will come after the Messiah, son of Joseph. He will bring all the Jews back to Judaism, and he will complete the union between Judah and the 10 tribes, and he will help all of Israel practice the truth faith, practice the right religion, the religion of Moses, according as it will be necessary at that time, in that time. And he will also tell every Israelite what tribe they belong to, who they are descended from. Those who are amongst Israelites, but are descended from non-Israelites, will be apportioned a place together with the tribes, or descendants of the tribes to dwell amongst. This is in the book of Ezekiel. This is explained. And the whole land of Israel, from the Nile to Euphrates, will be divided up amongst the tribes. Each tribe will have its own portion. And within the greater land of Israel, from the Nile to the Euphrates and beyond, each tribe will have its own portion. Tribes will not necessarily intermix with each other. They will be separate, each tribe in its own area. In addition to that, they will also retain ownership of the lands they came out of, that they are now in, and the sanctity of the land of Israel will spread to them. They will be considered part of the land of Israel. The lands they now dwell in will be considered part of the land of Israel. The temple will be rebuilt, and that is what we have. The 10 tribes will renew the covenant, as we said. Another point worth noticing, as described by the prophets, the 10 tribes when they return will probably become from by way of Manasseh, which is now Kurdistan, and they will initially possess Lebanon, which is now Lebanon, Syria, and Jordan. More details will be given in future talks, and some of them are already to be found on our website and in other talks that we have given previous to this one. May the Lord God of Israel bless you. Thank you.